All right, our friend Scott from Florida, go ahead.
Hey, Andrew. I'm not calling to try to break your argument. I think you're probably more right than wrong constitutionally. I just think there's some nuance involved that it isn't really fleshed out. You know, you're saying that we cannot have the government issue mandates on minimum standards. So you're also saying that we shouldn't have insurance companies give...
Oh, hold on a second. The federal government can issue minimum standards on things where they are empowered to do so via the Constitution.
Okay, well, if I'm correct, we did pass a law that passed Congress, so it is a law, and in that law there were certain minimum standards. And I think what your argument actually is you're saying that no minimum standards. We should not offer free cancer screenings. We should not.
Where would the federal government get the authority? Now, there's a difference between legislative law and executive order. Where would the president get the authority? Where does Kathleen Sebelius and the Health and Human Services Department, where do they get this authority from?
Well, it was the law that was passed by Congress, and part of that law was minimum standards.
So so basically that's just code talk for whatever we say the minimum standards are today. That is, in essence, the minimum standard.
No, we cannot offer cupcakes and ice cream.
Well, why not? But what if I want that to be the minimum standard?
Let me ask you this. Are you for the cancer screenings?
Do you hear what you're doing here? Come on. You know what you're doing here. Be an adult and man up to that one.
No,
if I say that I can't find free cancer screenings in the Constitution, then I'm against cancer screenings. You know what your problem? Scott, here's your problem. I'm going to read you a quote from Bastiat the Law, because this is the problem that you're facing, and Bastiat is way more eloquent than I on this issue. Socialism, like the old policy from which it emanates, confounds government and society. And so, every time we object to a thing being done by government, it concludes we object to it being done at all. What your basic assumption is, I only have two choices in the matter. Free cancer screenings from the federal government or no cancer screenings at all. And you know that's not true.
No, I was trying to point out that your stance on this issue is similar to your stance on Social Security and entitlements. You think we shouldn't have Social Security, period. I sort of believe that you think we shouldn't have minimum standards in health care.
Where does the federal government get the authority from? You show me in the Constitution where the federal government has this authority, and I'll back off it.
Well, I'm not going to throw out the Commerce Clause, but you and I both know this was a law passed. It was in the law that was passed. That's like saying, well, the Department of Education is there. It must be constitutional. Well, again, you're making my point. That's what I'm trying to get at, is that you are coming from a position where you feel like the government should not be able to mandate free health screenings, wellness. And frankly, that was a large part of the law.
Okay, the federal government doesn't have that authority, sir. Now, on to the birth control issue. What negative consequences are there if you don't have the tools to have the sex life that you want to have?
Well, frankly, and I'll be very frank about this, it's a minor aspect to it, but you and I both know that there are hundreds of thousands of women that take birth control every day. It has nothing to do with birth control. No, okay. Are we clear on that? We do agree with that, right?
You're lying right now. Your hormone imbalances, they didn't make this about hormone imbalances or ovarian cysts. This is purely about sexual behavior, and you know it. This is purely about sexual behavior. They didn't write into that legislation the necessity of pills or medications that regulate a woman's hormone balance or prevent ovarian cysts. This is about the government delivering the sexual needs of people.
I agree with that. But the point
I want to know, if this is about women's wellness and health care, what is the negative consequences of you not having recreational sex?
Well, I'll tell you the negative repercussions of what you want to do by taking away this contraceptive aid. The most prescribed drug from women ages 14 to 44 is birth control.
They're not entitled to it, sir. This is not a necessity. There is no necessity to recreational sex, and you can't even try to demonstrate one. Nice try, Scott. You failed again. I'm not. What are you saying, that people shouldn't have recreational sex? Did you hear me say that? Manage your own sex life with your own money. Isn't that keep your laws off my body, keep your government out of my bedroom?